Hello and good morning. It's Friday the 17th of September 2021. My name is Steve Pugh, if we don't know each other. This week I'm recovering from a sore throat, so if my voice feels a little bit croaky, that's why, but luckily I've got a drink to kind of help me through it. If we don't know each other, every Friday morning I do a bit of a live stream Q&A. I've got a business course called the Roadmap MBA, which is in 23 different countries now. And basically what we have is a series of live classroom sessions which are held via Zoom and lots of different kind of online portals. A 216-page textbook which basically covers everything you need to know to grow your business or career. And then what we tend to do on Friday mornings is that I either talk through interesting stuff from the week, which you might find interesting or it's a hot topic or whichever, or questions that people actually kind of send in. And then what's also quite interesting is that often one of the big things with your career is almost you don't know what you don't know. So almost the more I can share about stuff that other people raise and ask questions on, and I almost add my own flavor to it. Hopefully that also adds, context to you and helps, enlighten you in different ways. That the whole point of the Roadmap MBA is that it's a real world business course aimed at people in their business or career, predominantly small businesses. And the reason for that is that you could be exceptionally well trained as a solicitor or an engineer or an artist or whichever. And especially in smaller businesses or people that work for themselves, you often actually have to do a little bit of everything and do stuff that you're not trained to do. So for instance, as a solicitor, for instance, or a lawyer, you might start and you go to law school and then you get your first job and then you get really good at doing stuff and doing things for other people. And then eventually you get promoted and you start to then have to manage a team, maybe even be involved with writing a business strategy, and then actually go out, promote a company, do marketing, and actually try and bring in customers. And the truth is it's actually very difficult to kind of learn those skills. So one of the things that we do on the course is I've tried to bring together all of the best information from around the world, simplify it down. The whole mission for the whole course is to make business education accessible. So that is true in both the format that we use in terms of live streams and podcasts and stuff. The textbook isn't very text heavy. It's actually hopefully it reads like a magazine, so it's nice and easy to kind of flick through. But also in the way that we communicate the information, to actually take really complicated concepts from a 400-page book on finance, say, and really whittle it down to a few paragraphs, maybe 1 or 2 pages. But the idea is that it makes it easy and simpler for you to really make the difference, because that's actually what we're looking to do, is to help you make a real difference for your business or career. So as an alternative to an MBA course, the other courses are great if you can afford to do it or you have the time to do it. We're just trying to do something a little bit different, and it's now in 23 different countries, which is cool as well. On the Friday morning session, if you get involved in the comments, they should pop up here on the right. And I love it when people get involved and tell me kind of where in the world you're from. And the big thing we do on the course as well is that often when you make progress in your business or career, it's very rarely just one massive jump. It's one big thing that makes you kind of, be successful. So what we like to do is celebrate the small wins that you've achieved this week, because obviously I do this every week. And actually, Jonathan, if you ever tune in, I am going to ask you about the website. But the idea is it's when you actually make lots of small amounts of progress, it does add up over time, which is cool. Good morning, Simon. I always like to check that it's broadcasting and working and stuff, and Simon is a regular as well. Simon, again, I'd love to know almost progress and stuff that you've done this week. Some of the topics I'm going to talk on might be relevant to you, or they're relevant to everyone, but you get my point. And I genuinely appreciate when people kind of get involved, which is cool as well. So what I used to do was tell you everything I was going to talk about and then run through it. But, again, I'm just going to run through it this week. I'm just going to try a few different kind of things. I had a break last week for the first time in a long time. So actually I took some time off. Inherently, that if you run your own business, you end up working really long hours all the time. And often the worry always is that actually if you take time off, will it piss off your clients? Will you just have a massive backlog of work to do? Do you ever actually switch off? And it's true that I feel that I get it, especially on like an iPhone as well, where you get your stuff sent through to you. It can be a challenge. I did actually get some time off, which was cool. So there was no live stream or interviews or stuff last week. Ironically, that when I then kind of did, relax and kind of get into a bit of a break, my sore throat kicked in, but I took a COVID test. It's definitely not COVID, and actually touched some wood. It's now kind of passed as well. But even when I did my interview with Katie yesterday, I was trying to hide it a little bit, but I'm still trying to suffer and battle through. But these are the kind of things that we have to do. If you run a small business, you kind of have to show up, because if you're sick, you don't get paid. So it's just that kind of thing. I always like to kind of share my own journey and stuff as well. Another thing which I actually got the email through last night was that my YouTube monetization has now kind of come through, which is cool. And what that means is that there are certain criteria that you have to meet within a 12-month period to almost clarify, to basically make money off YouTube. One is to have over 1,000 followers. The other one is to have over 4,000 hours of watch time. And that's actually, if you think about how long 4,000 hours is, that's a lot of watch time. I think I'm currently in about 8,000, which means I think I have fewer viewers, but they watch for longer, because I guess some of this is long form content as well. And then there's some other stuff as well. But actually, just as a milestone for me, that realistically, just on a completely like business point of view, I'll probably always still make my revenue from the consultancy and also with the Roadmap course, the actual paid courses. So the AdSense itself and the YouTube ad revenue isn't the major driver. But my hope is that the more people who actually kind of see your stuff, it'll be able to spread quicker, because it's so hard to get to that kind of first inertia milestone, which is actually one of the things I'm going to talk about this morning. That actually once you've done it, touch some wood, hopefully then it can accelerate as well. But I always try and be quite honest about my journey as well. That actually, this for me is a 10-year journey that I'm now 9-10 months into. So I launched the Roadmap in February. That actually, I'm not hoping for quick wins. So actually, the point is to keep creating the content. And just on that one as well. So when I do this is a live stream which goes to lots of different platforms. But actually, there's different sections. There's about 5 or 6 different sections that I'm going to talk about today. But I actually clip them all up to create separate videos. So it's not just one video, I'm actually creating 6 or 7 different videos, which really, really helps for your YouTube promotion and stuff, because then you can schedule them, one to go live now, one tonight, one tomorrow, and you can create lots of different content basically through doing this. So it's just a kind of hot tip. But please kind of get involved in the comments. Simon, I'd love to know what you've been up to this week. And if we've never met before, you've never kind of been involved with this, please let me know where in the world you're based and just generally say hello. I can probably tell which platform you're watching on, because it should come up in my little chat feed. But I just love it when people get involved, so that's cool. Okay, before I jump into the kind of topics, I'm just going to use my clicker. Is it going to work? No. No. Oh, I know why. It's because I turned it off. It's these first world problems. So if you didn't see it, yesterday I had the pleasure of speaking to Katie. We were talking about Stoicism. So if you didn't get a chance to catch the interview, Stoicism is something I've been getting more and more into. It's more of a mindset that basically, as we all go through our lives and careers and stuff, often it can be quite difficult. We all come up with challenges and setbacks and that kind of thing. So a lot of the Stoic mindsets are there to really help us almost get through the tough times and deal with things. But actually, I think it works. So these are, they've been going back thousands of years. If you want to watch the full interview, it will be, the streaming is on YouTube now, and then shortly later today, hopefully, the little clips and stuff will be up as well. But actually, just in terms of if you're ever interested in mindset and stuff like that to do with business or careers or whichever, definitely check it out. Or even if you don't watch the interview, there's a guy called Ryan Holiday who has his Stoic YouTube channel. It's pretty good. And actually, his book, which I've since taken home, called The Obstacle is the Way, is really good as well. It was just that was my interview yesterday, which we did on Thursday. My interview for Monday is actually a chap called Rob Baker. Really talented guy, and what we're going to talk about is HR related this time, but it's to do with something called job crafting, and it's how actually you can sculpt your career, but actually we're going to tweak it to do with business and that kind of thing as well, into different areas to really help maximize and get the best out of different people's talents. So this is live at 4 p.m. on Monday UK time. You're more than welcome to join us and comment and get involved, or if you've got any comments for Rob and that in advance as well, you can always kind of send them through and I'll definitely kind of get them involved. But next, I'm just going to jump into today's session. If my batteries haven't gone, are they going? Oh, I hate it when technology doesn't work, but it's a first world problem. So I'm going to go back to this, and there we go, we're cool. So how has everyone's week been? I'd love to know almost just, how your week's been, any challenge that you've come up with this week, And likewise, just any kind of setbacks or anything, because the more we kind of, we're honest about our own journeys and different things, I just think it's, I think it's really helpful because so many people actually go through their business lives or careers. And because especially on social media, people try and be too perfect with what they show and that things are always perfect and whichever, that actually the truth often isn't like that. So I was trying to be honest about my journey. Touch some wood, it's going quite well, but actually, the hours and stuff I'm putting in are excessive. But actually, it's for a reason, if that makes sense. Hi Simon, made on sale, fantastic. How was my time off? Time off was good. Inevitably, because I work for multiple different companies, there was stuff that still needed to be done. But actually, again, part of the reason why I love balancing the consultancy, which is my paid job as a management consultant to do stuff for other people, and the Roadmap course, is the fact that I get paid to do this for real, for live, to help run and turn around different companies, that actually it helps improve my skill set. So you're not learning from someone that just teaches academic theory. I actually do this all day, every day. And actually, but because of that, I can give you better examples. But no, I appreciate Simon. I always, appreciate the support. And then one of the things that I'm going to jump into, actually, I'm going to jump into this now, just because, especially if you're watching live, I'm just going to say, where is it? Okay, so with any business, and Simon has an apparel business. Actually, Simon, I'd love to know, please comment, how do you describe your business? The way I'm going to describe it is clothes and apparel to do with mental health. And basically what Simon does, he's got a business, and he's clever because he comments every week, so I talk about it every week. It's called Shy Burns. And basically, it's all about mental health awareness and raising money for good causes, and actually reducing the stigma away from mental health, conditions and that kind of thing, just getting people to talk about it. But actually, they produce really cool stuff as well. The panda stuff is still my favorite. There's a very cool kind of panda logo, and I've got one of the t-shirts. But the point is, it's how Simon launched this, I think 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. But with any business, you need to take your time, but you also need to promote it. So one of the big things that I'm going to talk about today, and actually I'm going to combine two of my topics, is that if you have a business, but this is also true for your career, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to start with the business context. People always want to know, well, actually, how should you promote your business, product or service? How do you do it? How do you do it well? So one of the things we're going to talk about, and it's on module 7 of the course, is there's something called, well, everyone's head of a sales funnel, and that's true in marketing, and one of the things that you really kind of look at. And I'm going to draw this out and really explain why and how we can do the best we can to help you promote your business. But it's also true with your personal brand and your career. So I'm just going to draw this out. I'm just going to draw a quick funnel. So the first challenge that most people have is awareness. So this is where you might have a business course, as I do. You could have a t-shirt and apparel business, as Simon does. You could make Coca-Cola or Costa Coffee or whichever. The main challenge and the first challenge that you really want to try and do is actually people even know that it exists. So this is actually number one. This is the biggest challenge that you have when you're trying to launch a business or whichever. In your career, people can't hire you and offer you your dream job if they don't know you exist. So this is really important, both for career professionals, doesn't matter what you do, raising awareness on the things that you do is super, super important. The way that you can do that, a lot of people do social media, so they might post images and text, and we talk about on the course about what you talk about with your personal brand and stuff. But the trick always is to find something you can do on a regular basis that actually you quite enjoy doing, but it's that consistency which matters. And then the more you can be consistent, if you just post once, you'll get some success, but actually it's doing it week in, week out. And that's part of the reason with the live stream, especially on LinkedIn Live, I just do this every week. And actually the hope is that it's just raising awareness with more and more people, that they might move down the funnel to basically get to the next phase. So the next one is consideration. So imagine that you are, I'm trying to think of, okay, so I don't have kids as a prime example. So that but I have an awareness of Pampers, which are nappies is what we call them in the UK. So I have awareness of the brand, but I'm never going to consider buying them because actually it's just not relevant to me. But what you need to do is then, once people know who you are, it's to make sure that throughout your kind of marketing materials and the stuff that you talk about, that you communicate enough that people would consider actually buying the product or service. They don't actually have to buy it yet, but this is the next phase to go through. And it's how, when we make sure that you articulate what you do, who your product is for, etc., it's a really important thing to kind of tick. Next is consideration. The next is intent. So people would consider buying your product. After that is actually that they intend to buy it. So a prime example could be, I'm trying to think, okay, so one of my next personal targets is that I would love to buy a Porsche 911. That's something that, you know, if things go well, I intend to buy one. I know that they exist. I've considered it. It's intention. But the point is, there are other things I have an awareness of, but actually I don't intend to buy. So I'm trying to think of an example. A super yacht, for instance. Very attractive. I'd consider it, but realistically, I'm never going to do it. And it's just what we're trying to do is walk people through the kind of the sales funnel. Then you have desire and purchase. So what we're trying to do is actually help people know that you exist, sell a dream enough that you blatantly are the right product for the person that you're trying to sell to, that they consider it. So for instance, with the roadmap, we make a point to say, look, this is designed for people that work in small businesses, because people that work in small businesses often have multiple hats to wear and they need to learn these skills. But that's what we're purposely aiming for. If you want to grow a $1 billion tech startup, or you already run Google, my course isn't for you. So it's really trying to hone in on the kind of niche. The intent is almost to the point where people know you exist, they kind of quite like it, and they consider buying it, but they're not quite, haven't, you know, bought it yet. With desire is really important. So this is almost then that with your marketing and promotion and stuff, make people want to buy it. We talk about on the course about how if you can build both a logical case to buy, which is the fact that it's great information, the information, you know, so the information's good, its price is affordable, it's accessible in terms of time slots and stuff. That's all great, and they're functional kind of benefits, but actually making people want to be involved is actually the really big thing. And then actually what it leads down to is purchase, which is actually the most important thing. In terms of your career, this is exactly the same. Do people know you exist? So I'm going to pick, oh God, I'm just trying to think how to describe it. A fashion designer. You might do brilliant clothes designs for ladies' dresses, say, but if nobody knows that you exist, they're not going to hire you, they're not going to put you in vogue, they're not going to help you progress your career. But actually, through the ability to raise your personal brand and have people really understand what it is that you do, how it works, etc., you want people to intend to think, you know what, I love what Katie does, I love her fashion designs, I'd love it if we added her to the business. And although it says purchase, in terms of your career, this will be a hire. But the point is, when we talk about your personal brand, etc., this is also true. The reason I wanted to talk about this point, and this is also kind of true for Simon, is that what we're looking at is that in small businesses, or even on your own social media, people often think about, well, actually, how should I promote myself? So the first one everyone does is social, which is good, but the thing is, it's hard to get traction if you just do one. All of the science actually says that you want to hit as many marketing channels as you can to really build trust and stuff with your audience. Other things that you can do are podcasts, which is something that's good for me. But then you also have like traditional media. So PR is a great way to build genuine trust with an audience, because actually if people read something about you in the newspaper or a magazine, it helps reaffirm all of the other things that they think about you, and they see it as a trusted resource. So I'm going to put PR. And then actually the last but not least, I'm going to go paid. So that could be paid advertising on Facebook ads or whichever. Or even just paid in a magazine, paid at an exhibition, you know, whichever. But the point is, a lot of people only ever think about social and they don't think about the others. One of the things that in late October, start of November, I'm going to launch version 2 of the roadmap, and it's a big jump in terms of everything that I've kind of done so far. But as part of my promotion, yes, I've kind of got the social stuff sorted. I've got the podcast. I do my live streams. But at that point that hopefully I've tweaked all of the everything I want to tweak, I'm actually going to start sending it to journalists and PRs and YouTube reviewers and lots of people as a way to help kind of raise awareness on the brand and the mission and what we're trying to achieve. But I'm also going to start actually approaching conference organizers. Part of the dream for me, and again we cover it on the course, is that when you really kind of know what your aims and ambitions are, I would love to travel the world to speak at conferences and talk about the mission of trying to make business education accessible. That actually, yes, I'm going to start emailing and contacting event organizers around the world to say, look, my name's Steve, this is what I'm trying to do. We're in 23 different countries. Can we have a chat? Can I send you a free course? Can I come and speak at your conference? But the point is, it's really trying to think through the different things that you could do to help promote your business or career. You could be a specialist on, you're just really passionate about a topic. Don't be afraid to contact people and actually say, look, I would love to speak at your conference. And then what you're doing, they will at least consider it. So they might decide that you're not the right person for them. But the point is, they're more likely to know you exist and consider actually, getting you to speak at a conference. And then some of them might actually hire you and or invite you to speak. So when you're trying to achieve your aims and goals for either your business or career, you have to actually think about the different ways that you can promote yourself and then actually do it. That we often always sit on social media and do the odd post and do stuff, and we kind of hope it works, but actually I think there's another level which we can go up again, which I think then will accelerate it further. So I'm conscious it's 9:20, so I've speaking for a while, but it was just the kind of thing that, Simon, again for you, you can have a brilliant brand, but actually start to get more involved in the wider topic around mental health and different things as well, because actually I do think it will help you accelerate further, if that makes sense. And this is a slow burn, it does take time, but the thing is, it's really important that once you've done it, you kind of get momentum up, and then fingers crossed it'll just keep accelerating. So hopefully that made sense. If you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out. My name's Stephen. Hopefully we'll kind of speak soon. Okay. No, Simon, I appreciate that. One thing I would say, so you've said that it's a clothing brand that promotes positivity and raises awareness. Do you think that will always just be clothing? My point being, when, if we're looking to, in time, grow the business and grow the brand and grow awareness, could it be other things that could you have your own podcast to do the same thing to promote positivity and raise awareness? Could you do an interview stream? Could you do other stuff? And it's almost then when we start to build the brand around that, rather than go too niche, and just clothing is one way that we execute this. If you go too tight, it's harder to then expand over time. And it's just a little, there are no right or wrong answers to this. And again, it's all kind of baby steps, but it's always important to kind of talk about and think about. And you are one of the long-time supporters, so I always appreciate your time and stuff as well. Okay. So the next one, I'll stick with purple. So one of the big things that I like to try and talk about, and I always use my own, experience and, tell you honestly about what I'm doing and what I'm planning to do, just because where I quite literally put my own time and money is almost the proof in the pudding that if I thought it was crap or it didn't work, I'm not going to do it, because then I'm just wasting my own time. As a small business owner, and although I outsource stuff to other people, essentially it is kind of just me, that I always try and think of hacks and ways to do things, because I like to run a lean and efficient business, and that's something I talk about on the course. But basically, when you first set out, essentially what you have is that you have a cog, and your cog is basically how much time and effort you put in. So you have a person, you have a handle, and basically when you first start out in business, you have to work really, really hard, and you're cranking that handle for whatever your business does. It could be producing t-shirts, it could be whatever it is. You generally have to work a certain number of hours to then generate profit at the end of it. With any business, and it's going to be more prominent in version 2. We talk about how actually if you start to invest in your business and different things within the business, you can actually create a bigger machine which allows you to create momentum in a way that generates a lot more profit for the same amount of effort. But the same is also true for milestones. So I wanted to talk about something called inertia milestones, because actually when you first set up a business, there are often costs and fixed costs that you have to pay to kind of get up and running. So the first one could be basically computers, IT equipment, whatever it is that you kind of need. It could be an office, it could be whichever. And basically what you often find is that to pay for those stuff, either you can raise external finance, but you often have to give away a proportion of your company and or profits or whichever, which can be, it's essential in some industries, especially if you need to make a lot of stuff or it's a really kind of big investment. For smaller businesses, you can kind of get away with it. But what I wanted to talk about is that actually, when you know what the dream is that you're actually trying to achieve, I joke with people, my goal in 5 to 10 years time is to work 4 days a month. I would love to travel the world, speak at conferences, do the cool stuff, do live streams because I actually enjoy this. But in the process of doing that, there's a lot of stuff that I need to build in order to be successful. So one of them is, say, social media following and just reach. You have, actually, I'm going to write these down. You got social, I'm going to say tech stroke setup. So for instance, I didn't always have this, and it is quite a posh setup in terms of what I'm trying to do. But for where I'm trying to create and what I'm trying to do, you kind of need it in order to create an experience that people are willing to kind of pay for and react with. And there's lots of other stuff as well, even just knowledge. And actually, I'm going to throw networking as well. So again, your knowledge changes over time, especially if you're into personal development and stuff like I am. And actually that does stay with you. You know, it takes a lot of time to read a book, but once you've read that particular book or done that course, you don't have to read it again. You've already kind of got the knowledge. But the reason why I wanted to talk about building inertia milestones is that when you first set out, yes, there's a massive learning curve that actually you need to work really, really hard to either build the social following or actually pay for the stuff. So I self-fund all my kind of stuff. All of this I paid for myself out of all the consultancy kind of work. But the point is, it might cost you £50,000 to actually get to this point where you've bought all the stuff, you've got the office, you've got the social following, etc. One of the big ones for me actually, which I'm starting to look at, is actually my website and stuff at the moment is fine, but it's not where I want it to be. I want it to be world class. And also I'd love to have an app as well, which I've spoke about in the past, where basically it's for push notifications, so that no matter where you are in the world, if a classroom session is going to start and people have opted in that they want the little ping up to say, you know, your 3 p.m. is about to start. The point is that will add a lot of credibility to the business, and it will be expensive, but I only ever have to do it once. And the idea about the inertia milestone is at the moment I'm working really, really hard to pay for this. But actually once I've done it, if it's a sustainable thing which isn't going to disappear, actually if I wanted to, within another 6 months, or to be honest, even as soon as you've paid the bill, I've done the hard work that will keep the momentum up, but without me having to work as hard. Does that make sense? So it's almost, you know, it might take 10 years to actually build 10,000 followers on YouTube, but once you have it, they're not going to magically disappear unless you do something kind of drastic. But the point is, in all of our businesses and careers, often it is more effort at the start to get to a certain point. But the trick is to actually build a mechanism, a machine, which allows you to grow and scale. And actually this could be even a team of people that you employ, or it could be better processes. It could be whichever you want. But the point is, people often get trapped through working hard and they keep cranking that wheel and earning their money. But the issue is, if they don't reinvest back to create a more efficient machine or invest back into the brand, the website, whichever, they're always going to be stuck on the same hamster wheel to work as hard as they always have to earn the same amount of money. As where, ironically, if you can invest back into the business, if you're cash generative, there are different milestones that, yes, you might be able to do this, and that's kind of where I am now. But actually, in 3 years' time, it could be a much bigger wheel. And the trick is never be afraid to invest back in, but also if you invest in the right things, they can be a major milestone that, yes, it's a lot of effort to actually get to the point where you make the purchase and get the benefit. But after you've done that, you've kind of, you can cycle downhill. And I think it's one of the things that I'm kind of going through this process now, that I'm very much here. So I'm working really, really hard to build something, but I'm also doing it in a way that once it has its own momentum and inertia. So for instance, if I can get 1 million followers on the different social channels, I've got the apps up, I've got the website, I've got the textbooks written, I know what the classroom sessions are, and I've got distributors and different people, it then gets a lot easier. The challenge is, I guess, if you keep wanting to grow, and then you keep having bigger and bigger challenges, but that's a choice. But the point is, if you don't invest back in key pieces of equipment or efficiency or whichever, you're always going to be on that hamster wheel, and it's going to be a tough, tough gig. And it was just something that I wanted to kind of talk about. But never forget, again, you know, it's really important to promote yourself and get the word out there about what you're trying to do and that kind of thing as well. So hopefully that made sense, but if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out. And Simon or anyone else as well, I'd love to know in the comments just any thoughts or ideas about what you've done, about your own business, or even things that you want to invest in that maybe you haven't done yet, but it's almost on your pipeline of stuff for the future. Okay, excuse me. Okay, next. Okay, next I'm going to talk about people with a mission. So basically, we all have different types of employers. We all have different types of businesses. And one of the things that I've started to realize is more and more important in my life, but actually, again, when you kind of gravitate and you align to different people and you get to meet different people, you do have profit-based businesses, which are, I'm trying to think of an example. I'm going to be horrible, but just say like not a tech company, but a computer company or something where their sole focus is to make profit. They own profit above everything else. But you also have mission-based businesses, which are there to still make a profit, but they're also looking to give back and help more people with what they're trying to do. One of the things I really wanted to kind of talk about, because with the roadmap, our mission is to make business education accessible, that actually we are trying to hit as many people as possible. And a lot of the money that comes in, again, goes back into new courses, improvements. And again, I send these out kind of around the world. But I've also managed to meet some really, really good people that also have initiatives that they're super, super passionate about. And I just love it. So for instance, a lady called Michelle, who's got a business called Kind Currency, which I'm hoping to get more involved in. I'm a trustee of a charity called Global Teach, and that's trying to help build global access to education. And actually, even Simon with Shy Burns, there's a lot of organizations out there who have a driving mission which sits behind the business. But basically what that mission allows you to do is actually communicate much better to get people on board, but almost get a following. So the reason why I believe this is important is that we all buy stuff. I have no idea what the mission of Stadler pens is, but I needed some markers for my board, and these were good. I trusted the brand, etc. But I didn't really buy into it. But actually now, as sustainability becomes, you know, a much bigger thing, we see it all the time that actually consumers do adapt their behavior based on the buying drivers and mentalities and approaches of different companies. With the roadmap, one of the big things that we do, and it's there to help you grow your business or career, is really genuinely think about the mission and what is it for you that you're trying to do? What is it that you're trying to achieve? And actually, do you articulate it or talk about it as maybe as good as you could? Because actually with one of the things that I found is that it was when I started the branding process for version 2, I always knew in my heart what I was trying to do, but I hadn't really articulated it. And when I actually verbally said making business education accessible, that now can guide every decision and everything that I do. That is it making, you know, is the course and the printing materials better for the environment? How can we help more people get access to it? How can we help people get access to it quicker? But actually, it's really important to have a mission, but actually it's to think about what is yours and then how can you actually implement it within your brand? Because again, if you can get a strong mission, and this can be personal, It's a big differentiator. It's a big USP for against you and other people. I think the one thing to keep in mind is that a lot of people actually, they have kind of bullshitty missions. So they say, oh, we want to help more people. But why? How? What's your story behind it? Why do you want to do that? Because actually, if people don't believe that you're a USP, or even if they don't believe that your mission is true, I think if anything, you're going to damage trust, not build it. But it was just something I really wanted to kind of talk about. And the more I kind of discover different people that basically they've got their own mission, you emotionally want to buy into it. So earlier on in the stream, we talked about how people often buy on both logic and emotion. And if you can really communicate a passionate mission for what you're looking to do with the people who are your target audience, if you can resonate with them and build a relationship with them, and also show that you are helping to promote a mission that they're passionate about, it will help you be so much more kind of successful. And it was just something I wanted to talk about. And again, just with myself and Michelle and some of the conversations that I've had in the past, I think it's really important to do, but a lot of people don't really think through what it is and then really kind of use that as a way to push your message out to the world. So it was just something I wanted to talk about. Hopefully in future weeks, I've also asked Michelle from Kind Currency and actually Sumi, who's the chairman of Global Teacher, who I'm a trustee on the board. She's going to be a podcast guest in the future. But again, you can then use your platform to talk with and share the mission of these great people that have great initiatives. And even a lady that was going to be a guest on the podcast, but we couldn't really make it work out. Her name's Caroline Boot. She runs lots of different things out of Sheffield. She works in the hospital, but she did a crowdfunder to help fund a new book to really help basically children explain what goes on in hospitals, the jobs, the process, to basically make the process of going to hospital less scary if they kind of understand what's going to happen. That kind of thing, that I love getting involved with other people's projects and supporting them if I can. And there's lots of stuff that you can do, but I think you should too. And again, just align with people who have similar kind of visions and values to what you do. And hopefully it might help you either progress your business into the direction that you want to do, or even if you are in your career, actually just either work for or be more involved in, good causes that you're passionate about as well. Okay, what time is it? 9:35. But please kind of get involved in the comments if you ever see this. I'd love to know where in the world you're from, what you're kind of up to. And, I love it when people get involved as well. And it does pop up on the screen. So please never hesitate to kind of reach out. One of the big things that I think is quite important, and this is true for lots of different people, and I remember seeing it years ago with Mark Zuckerberg, is that if you want to be more successful and more efficient with your time, it's if you can stick to a schedule. So me, for instance, when I was in my early 20s, I had my first photography business. I was doing my PhD at the time, and I was super, super busy. And I would work till like 1 a.m. and I'd be sat on my laptop just bashing away, and I was just working super, super hard. But actually, over time, that's very difficult to sustain. You kind of can get away with it in your 20s, but I'm 38 now. As you get a little bit older, it is harder. But actually, the more you can set a schedule, the more efficient and effective you can and will become, and I guarantee it. One of the big ones for me is actually I tend to go to bed probably between 8 and 9 p.m. most days, and I wake up about 6. But it means that I'm fresh and refreshed. But actually, I do that 7 days a week, and it works really well for me. But some of the other stuff that I find really works as well. So for instance, within my diary, I have set like things that I can't change. This live stream is one of them. So that every Friday morning at 9 a.m, I know that I'm going live. But what it does, it allows me to put in place the actions and lead actions to help me be successful. So that's something we talk about in the course. But it really helps me be so much more efficient with my time than just doing ad hoc videos here and there and whichever. But it really makes a big difference. But likewise, one of the big things that I've also started to do was actually I have a regular slot for a haircut. So I go every 2 weeks on a Tuesday morning, basically as early as they can fit me in. But what I used to do, I used to live my life where basically I would wait until I kind of needed one and I'd be unhappy with the length of my hair. Then I'd try and fit one in. And my schedule just went to pot because I was very reactive. And the more proactive you can get within important milestones within your week, I guarantee, trust me, it works. And then for your business, one of the classic things that a lot of people always say is that they don't have time to work on their business or on particular things. Make it a commitment that once a week at a particular time, and it can be a Saturday or a Sunday, that you spend 1 hour to work through the roadmap or work on your own different stuff. But actually make it a standard, as Tony Robbins would say. Set the standard for how you want to act and what you want to do. And again, I promise you it does work. That yes, you can still adapt and change and do different stuff, but actually just setting a schedule for stuff that is non-negotiable for you, and that could include your fitness goals and that kind of thing as well. I promise you that the end result makes a massive difference, because then you just get so much more efficient, you can get more stuff done, but it's also the right things that you're doing, you're getting the right things which will help you be successful. And definitely setting the schedule was one for me. But I would love to know if you ever set a schedule for what you do, how that works for you. If you've tried it and it didn't work, then that's kind of cool too. And I would kind of love to know. Last but not least, I'm just checking I've done everything. There we go. So on the board, I'm about to talk about one key topic, which is knowing when to plan and knowing when to execute. So on our Tuesday 8 p.m. session, we have a lady who is going to look to launch her own business. We've been through most of the course now, and we've talked about a lot of different things. And what's been really interesting as we kind of work through it is that now the lady we know exactly what her niche is. We know the area that she wants to focus on. We know why it's different. We know what the aims and goals are. We know the thing that she wants to do that she will enjoy doing. And actually through the course, what we've been able to do is really help her plan everything about the lifestyle that she wants, the business she wants to do, how could she make money from it, how could she promote it, and that kind of thing. And it was on Tuesday night we were talking it through, and it became clear that actually we had the groundwork, we had the roadmap, we had the plan to really help her execute and do it well. And then it's at that point where once you have confidence in what it is that you're doing, then you switch from planning to execute. So this is when you have a gut feel for what it is that you want to do, get started. And this is almost start to execute whatever it is that you, basically whatever the first step is. And that could be a website, socials, or speak to people. But the reason why that's really important is that often it's what do people call it? Analysis paralysis. People can spend too long planning and worrying, and is the wording correct, and how should they phrase something? And actually what they need to do is just execute, get the website live, get the socials live, start talking to people, because then what happens, you get feedback on different things, or you find out that that message that you are trying to communicate isn't quite working or isn't quite as good as it could be. But then what you can then do is improve again. I think the challenge of most people is that we try and plan until everything is absolutely perfect, which is never going to be, before we actually just jump off the cliff and dive in, essentially. But it was almost that on Tuesday night especially, there was a point when we had it cracked. We knew exactly what this person should do, how they're going to do it. And it's at that point then having the confidence to execute and actually just then create the website, get the offer, get the first draft of what you want to offer the world public. And then yes, we can tweak it, we can change it, but it's knowing when to do that. For me, the time to do that is when you have a good solid plan that you think is a genuine niche, that you have confidence that people will want to buy it or engage with it. And almost as soon as you have that, then write it down. Because again, if you don't actually have a website or socials, it's very difficult. It's so much harder for other people to understand it. So even if you ring them on the phone, people would still want to go on a website and just check, is their understanding correct and stuff. But actually just launching the website and the socials and actually start to talk about your passion, your vision, etc. Even if you don't feel it's 100% ready, just do it anyway. And then actually learn from that. And it will make this whole process so much more, I just realized how messy this is, so much more successful, but it's then how you iterate. But again, don't plan to death. With the roadmap, we can make you the world's best business plan, but there's a certain point where you need to just kind of crack on and start doing what you need to do. and then evolve and iterate over time. But the point is, once you're confident in what it is that you want to do or try, just do it. I think it's really important. But if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I'm always here to help. You can either send questions to questions@roadmapmba.com, or you can join any of the classroom sessions. All of the details are live online as well, which you're more than welcome to join, or just get involved with the live stream chat as well, and that's always kind of welcome, and that's cool. So I've done that one, I've done that one, I've done that one. I think we're good. I think we're done for today. Luckily, my voice, I think, did last the full 43 minutes, which is quite cool. I wasn't sure it would. Yesterday it was Tuesday in the live stream sessions. My voice was just atrocious, but it is what it is. What's next for me? I'm quite looking forward to having a weekend off. I've got some client stuff which I need to do today. We've got a classroom session at 12 p.m, which you're more than welcome to join. I've got the iPhone 13 pre-order, which goes live at 1 p.m. So I need to be online, hitting refresh so I can order my new phone. I've been rocking the iPhone 10 for 4 years now. Great phone, but the battery's starting to go, so that's a big thing for me. Fingers crossed. And yeah, cool. So it's Friday the 17th of September. My name is Steve. If you ever have any questions at all, please feel free to get in touch. As I've mentioned a few times, the Roadmap MBA is a real world business course. If you ever want to look at developing your business or career in a way which is more flexible, more cost effective, please kind of feel free to get in touch. And then likewise, we also have a buy one, gift one initiative as well. So basically, if for every business that buys a course or 10 courses or whichever, we will also donate the same amount to people that otherwise couldn't access it or afford it. And again, that is worldwide as well. So it doesn't matter if you're in China, Taiwan, Nigeria, Ghana, America, UK, anywhere. If you would like to access a free course, you can get in touch on guest list at roadmapmba.com. And basically you get free access to everything as everyone else, all the paid members do. And for me, that's part of the mission to really help make business education accessible. That actually, I want you to have the tools and the experience and the things to help you grow your business or career. I have a really pet peeve that I hate the idea that there are good people around the world that want to grow their business or career. But yes, they can't afford £90,000 for a proper business education. I say proper, a formal traditional MBA business education, but often in many ways you can't do better than actually going out there in the real world and doing it myself. And what I've tried to do is almost just merge the two, make it accessible, make it simple, and hopefully make it easy to access as well. So my name's Steve. Thank you for your time today. Have a wonderful Friday, have a wonderful weekend, and I will hopefully catch you on Monday for the interview with Rob Baker as well. Okay, cool. Guys, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.